Hi friends, today we are going to see the past year NEET questions for the chapter Evolution, and today in this video we will cover part 4. Okay, now let's begin with the first question, which was asked in the year 2003. Industrial melanism is an example of dash. I think this is a repeated question because we already discussed about it in the earlier parts of this chapter. So the replacement, so you remember I gave you an example of moth where it gets, the gray colored moth becomes darkened. I think the same instance falls here. The replacement of the gray colored moth by dark colored melanic species due to the industrial smoke is called as industrial melanism. Initially on the lichen covered with tree trunks, the mutant moths were more conspicuous due to the black coloration and was therefore more susceptible to the predation by the birds. The large-scale burning of the coal during the Industrial Revolution also resulted in deposition of sooty particulate matter, which again started to deposit on them. Hence, the grey-colored moth became more conspicuous to the predatory birds. Thus, the population of the black moth increased considerably. Okay, therefore, now you can understand. So, it's a protective resemblance with the surroundings. The right answer is option D. Next question here. In random mating population in equilibrium, which of the following brings about a change in the gene frequency in a non-directional manner? Okay, same, it's asked again in 2003. So what do you think will be the answer here? So we have to analyze each statement here. So migration refers to the movement. We all know what is migration. Mutation, it is understood, it's the alteration of something inferior or the gene or whatever. So what is random drift then? What do you mean by random drift? Okay, see, mutation refers to the random and the sudden heritable variations that occurs in the arising in the genetic constitution. So what do you mean by random drift then? How can you have rest of the two other options. Selection, it is understood what it is. Now what do you mean by random, or you can say random genetic drift, or so many things you have. Genetic drift is the change in the frequency of an existing gene variant in a population due to the random sampling of organisms. The allele in the offspring are the sample of those in the parents, and chance has a role in determining whether the given individual survives and reproduces. So now you should understand what the answer is. Yes, the right answer is option C. So you have random mating in the question. That's a clue for you. Next question here. Convergent evolution is illustrated by. So again, this also was asked in the year 2003. Okay, now what do you mean by convergent evolution? We have to discuss that first. See, convergent evolution is the independent evolution of, what do we see here? We see similar features here. What do we see here? We see here similar features in species of different periods in time. Convergent evolution creates analogous structures that have similar form or function but were not present in the last common ancestors of those groups. So now you should be clear. So convergent evolution is illustrated by dogfish and whale. So it is the independent formation of functionally similar structures by unrelated organisms. Okay, next question. Which one of the following describes correctly the homologous structures? Again, this question also 2003, if you clearly note. Okay, you have to analyze the statements here. Organs appearing only in embryonic stage and disappearing later in adult. Organs with anatomically similarities but performing different functions. Here they're asking about homologous structures. Okay, the right answer is option B. Those organs which have a common origin and are built on the same anatomical pattern, but what do? But one thing to be noted here is they perform different function. Okay, different function and are modified accordingly. Therefore, the right answer to this question is option B. Next question. Darwin in his natural selection theory did not believe in any role of which one of the following is in organic evolution. Okay, so I think it's continuously from the same year, 2003. Okay, so what do you think will be the answer here? Before that, let's analyze the natural selection theory. Okay, can we do that? What do you know about the natural selection theory? By Darwin, that too. Natural selection theory. Okay. Natural selection is the differential survival and reproduction of individuals due to differences in the phenotype. And this is the key mechanism of evolution. This is already that we know. The change in the heritable traits characteristic of the population over generations. So you can give some examples here. They include deer mouse, the peppered mouth. Then you have the peacock. Bacteria are the common research subject when studying about evolution and adaptation because some colonies of bacteria can produce several generations in one day. Therefore, it is easy for them to carry out research when it comes to, especially when it comes to natural selection, and bacteria is selected for that purpose. So now, Darwin's in natural selection theory did not believe in any role. Which one of the following in organic evolution? If you see, they speak about discontinuous variations. In any population, there is competition for space and food resources. Yes, there is. Even when you take your own home, when there is a joint family there, it's already understood. Imagine you have the mother-in-law, father-in-law, your family, and you have another brother-sister family, the husband's brother's family. So it's already like 3 families in one place. Obviously, there will be competition. The same thing can be experienced here as well. Okay, therefore, the right answer is option A. Next question here. Which of the following are homologous organs? Very easy question. I told you what is homologous organs. What is it? They have a basic structure. What do they have? They have a basic structure and origin, but they differ in their external appearance. So what do they differ in? They differ in their external appearance and function. So now you should be able to understand what it is. The right answer of this question is option B, wings of the birds and the pectoral fins of the fish. So both are basic structure and origin, but when it comes to function, they differ, and their external appearance also differs. Okay? Yeah. Next question here. There is no life on moon due to the absence of dash. Why there is no life on moon? It's not just oxygen that we require to survive. More than oxygen, we require water. There is no life on moon due to the absence of water. There are many other reasons for being no life on moon. Life is insufficient without oxygen, unsuitable temperature, etc. But predominantly, what is lacking in moon, if you see, it is oxygen. I mean water. I'm sorry, it's water. Then if you look at the oxygen level, temperature, all that also plays a major role when it comes to the sufficiency of living. We all know light, water, temperature, oxygen, all that are requirements for any basic living. Right? These are the essential elements that we need. But there is no life on moon, especially when it comes to the absence of water. Okay, next question here. Sequence of which of the following is used to know the phylogeny? So this is a very easy question for you. By now you should know what the answer is. Is it mRNA stands for messenger RNA, transfer RNA, DNA, ribosomal RNA? So the right answer is option B. rRNA occurs inside ribosomes and involved in the protein synthesis, while mRNA brings the coded information from DNA to form the polypeptides that we know. When we talk about transfer RNA, that takes part in transferring the amino acids from the cellular pool to the episomes, and that will carry out for polymerization to form polypeptides. So, it was Carl Woese gave the theory that life based on discovery on the genes encoding for rRNA especially. So, he was the one who first identified that. Therefore, rRNA are commonly used to infer the phylogeny. Okay, next question. 2 different species cannot live for long duration in the same niche or habitat. This law is dash. Very easy, a direct question also. So what is it? It's not Allen's or it's not Weismann's theory. Weismann's theory we already saw. It is Gauss's hypothesis. Gauss' hypothesis states that 2 different competing species cannot coexist together for a long time because if there's enough resources, there will not be fight. But as the resource becomes scarce, what happens? Automatically, these organisms will start to compete. The one which is fit and one which is strong will obviously survive and beat the other. So two different species cannot live for a long duration in the same niche or habitat. And that was given by Gauss law, Gauss hypothesis, which is option B is the answer. Okay, next question. Which of the following is the most important, it is most important for speciation? Before that, can we just analyze a little bit of speciation? What do you mean by speciation? How can you describe it? See, speciation is a evolutionary process. What is it actually? It is a evolutionary process. We all know that. By which populations evolve to become distinct species. The biologist orator F. Cook coined the term 1906 by cladogenesis, the splitting of lineages as opposed to anagenesis, phyletic evolution within lineages. So you have, when it comes to speciation, you will have four major variants: allopatric, peripatric, parapatric, and sympatric. So these are the four different speciation variants that you have. Now, which of the following is very important if you see? It is reproductive isolation. Okay, reproductive isolation is a prevention of interbreeds between the population of two different species. Therefore, the right answer is option B. Very important to be noted here. Next question. What is next question? In which condition the gene ratio remains the constant for any species? Very easy question. It is obviously not mutation, sexual selection, or gene flow. It is random mating. Okay, mutation is any random sudden heritable change, while sexual selection refers to the selection of the mate by an organism. So where it remains constant, if you see, it is during random mating. Next question here. Genetic drift operates only in dash. We just now discussed in the very first question of this part where we spoke about genetic drift. Do you remember anything about it? You should recall. Okay, what do you mean by genetic drift? We saw about random drift, random genetic drift. So genetic drift is a variation in the relative frequency of different genotypes in a small population that owes to the change in disappearance of particular genes as individuals die or do not reproduce. So it operates only in, where does it operate? It operates only in smaller populations. Okay, it's a random challenge in the allele number and frequency in the gene pool. So it will operate only in smaller population. Next question. Some bacteria are able to grow in streptomycin containing medium due to dash. Very easy question again, because this is also something that we saw in the earlier part of this chapter. See, one thing to be noted here is, what is streptomycin? It's an antibiotic, right? Prevention of mating between two natural populations of the same or different species due to the presence of barriers to interbreed is called as reproductive isolation. While if you talk about genetic drift, we just now saw it's a random change in the allele number and the frequency in the gene pool. That's how we saw in the earlier question. Natural selection is the type of force for evolutionary process. When it comes to this case, we understand it allows the growth only of those bacteria which have resistance towards streptomycin. So it is very well understood. It talks about, see, only the one which is resistant will be able to grow in the streptomycin medium. Therefore, it talks about natural selection. Okay, next question. Similarities in organisms with different genotypes indicate dash. Very, very easy question, because I think all of you should know the answer by now. Okay, before that, we'll see what is microevolution. It is a series of changes within a species due to gene mutation and accumulation of variations. Macro means it is of course a process of evolution in which the taxa higher than the level of species are formed due to the morphological and cytological changes. So it's not micro and macro, it is not divergent also. So here we are talking about the similarities. Therefore, the right answer to this question is convergent. Formation of different functional forms will come under divergent. Here they are talking about the similarities in the organism with different genotype. Therefore, the answer is convergent evolution. with this we complete the part 4 of evolution. Hope to meet you in the next part of the same chapter. Thank you.